Hey everybody, how is it going? I lost my volume. Let's switch that over to my AirPods. And hopefully there we go. All right. I want to blow my ears out. Okay. A little bit better. There we go. Okay. So, what are we doing today? Man, I don't even know. I am working on getting some of this, getting some session stuff correct and some stuff with Redis today. So I may also play with trying to get everything upgraded to Laravel 8 right now. That was one of the first things I was thinking of, but at the same time, I'm also a little terrified of just doing that on day one. I think it's going to be fine because Laravel 8 is the main branch, is normally I think the master branch before they like cut it. So it's working fine. I know it's not like beta software in like the traditional sense. However, I don't know if there's other issues, other plugins and things, or like components that I may be using that may not be super thrilled with being on Laravel 8 yet. So I'm kind of like deciding what if I want to do that or not. But I think the first thing I got to do is figure out what's up with some of my issues in with Redis right now. So not that I'm really having any major issue with it, but what I'm trying to make sure I have here is that I'm correctly jumping over to the right, like to the correct queue and to the correct, like I'm actually configuring everything correctly. So I'm using a technique that I think Mohammed Saeed had talked about once before, and a couple other people had used this type of technique to connect your workspaces. Basically what I'm doing here is I have a middleware and I'm checking. I have this helper that I created that just grabs the host name and then does a few checks on it. So basically it's checking that if this is a custom domain, because you could use a custom domain in my software, or is it just a slug. So if it's a custom domain, it grabs the information based on that. Otherwise it grabs it based on the slug. Most of the time, I actually probably should reverse this because I think it doesn't really matter. Most of the time I think it's going to be a slug. Anyway, when that happens, so all right, we get the workspace. Now we're going to disconnect from the connection and we're going to reconnect as whatever the workspace ID happens to be in this case. So once we do that, yeah. Oh, and then if it is a custom domain, we have to set the session domain to correctly be configured for that. Otherwise, we set the workspace slug, some IDs, and some other stuff in here, get the workspace URL. So we all have that kind of saved out in the session right away. And if it doesn't work, if there's nothing, and then the connection manager does a few other things too. But if that doesn't work, if for whatever reason we fail on this thing and we get an exception, then we just redirect over to the view. So essentially what happens there, this exists, which is why it takes me to a 404. But if I go to like that, which hopefully since I just entered a bunch of letters, it should just fail. There we go. When it fails, it redirects me to the main domain rebase.test/register/workspace. So it's just like, okay, that I can't find that, so please register it. So if I went test 1 2 3, I think that might already exist in my system, but I can double check. Nope. Okay, so we're going to register test 1 2 3. We'll grab our city as Delaware. Click pay. All right. And that's going to, that may be working. There we go. So yeah, there we go. It's processing all of the stuff from the queue right now. So it actually added the account. Yeah, created the workspace, added the admin account, and now it's ready to go. I don't have a thank you page, so it just says thanks, which is fine. Okay, so data is being saved. So now we have test123. So now if I go in here and I say test123 dot and just go to this page, it should just give me a 404 because the domain exists. Yeah. So basically it's giving me a not found up here, which is actually what I want it to do, because it's saying, well, I know this subdomain test123 exists. I can find that. But then it starts looking for the route and it says, I don't know where that is. So it's not doing a redirect back to registration because it's totally here. It just can't figure out like where here is, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. All right. I'm out of water. All right, so let's see now. I wanted to look at, yeah, I got the one exception from that. I got my events. So the events at this point are some cache misses, which is good, I think. Yeah, it's supposed to kind of miss on these things. So yeah, nothing, everything kind of looks right. Let's look at our session real quick. Yeah, so our session, it's set correctly, the workspace ID, the slug, and the workspace URL. So those are, as you'll remember from here, these values right here. So it's able to connect, that means to the right database. It's able to do everything it needs to do. It's just, it hits a certain point and then, or, you know, and then it just hits the session and it says, or not the session, sorry, it hits the route and it says, nope, I can't find this, and it drops off. It looks like I'm running into some streaming issues. I don't know if that's my bitrate or what's going on here. Hold on a minute. No, I'm not really having any technical difficulties that I can see. But my monitor is not currently live. 11% CPU utilization, and so I think I'm okay for the moment. Skipped frames detected. Okay, so something is up. I may have to restart, but I don't know. Let's see if I can fix this on the fly while I'm sitting here. I don't know what it's going to do. Go to settings. Let's see. Stream. Ooh, it doesn't like it.